All right, let's try this again. Um, so I was attempting to broadcast at 1080p, and I'm watching my CPU usage here, and it's like pegged around 90%, which just seems insane to me, but okay. So I bumped it down to 720p, and the CPU is right around 75 now. Maybe some of that is also the playing of the YouTube video, but now I guess that I can see that it's playing, I can cut away from that. So let's keep that open for a second and just see if the video is actually going to change. All right, there we go. Perfect. Make sure my audio is coming across. It is. Woohoo! Perfect. All right, so let's cut out of here. All right. So, first of all, if you're wondering where the hell I'm broadcasting from, I'm in the what will be my dining room area here in my house. And if it sounds like that I'm kind of dragging out my words, it's because there's a slight delay in the earbuds that I've got here. So I'm listening to myself, but like I said, there's a slight delay. So I'm trying to stay ahead of that and not get caught up on it. But like I said, if I am dragging in any words, it's because I'm hearing myself play back in my head. So, anyways, I bought a home back in March, and I've been doing renovations ever since. Well, I'm this close to having all of the bedrooms done, or essentially having all of the rooms done at this point. The one of the bedrooms, the smaller of the three bedrooms here in my house, I'm actually going to use as my office, and my computer desk, all of that stuff is going to go into that smaller bedroom. So the only thing I have left to finish in all of the bedrooms is just the trim before I can move this back in there. So since that's not finished yet, I have my desk and have had my desk and computer set up in what's my dining room here. So at the moment, you get a nice view of my kitchen back there, which is extremely messy at the moment. So just ignore that or not. Check out my Cheerios back there. There's like a Easter egg right there on the refrigerator that my nephew made for me for Easter. I want to say 3 years ago now. And maybe I want to say about 3 years ago now. Still have it. It's been up there in my refrigerator at the place I was renting, up in my refrigerator here at my house now. So, yeah, my nephew and I are pretty close. So, anything he makes for me, I hold on to as though he were my own child. So, I've got that, and then I've also got like this Easter bunny hat that he made me. It's got like rabbit ears off the top of it. That's like up in the cupboard up over there. Anyways, so the whole purpose of wanting to do this YouTube stream is because I've been wanting to do something. I've recently started listening to some of the episodes of the old TF podcast, and I've had people hit me up on social media, Twitter, Facebook, just comments here on YouTube. Not really email so much anymore. People seem to use social media more than anything. But I've gotten questions about like, are you going to bring the podcast back? Where's the podcast? Are you going to do any new episodes? Anything like that? Well, if you've been to tfwire.com, let me pull that up here really quick. And while that's loading, let me transition over here. So get a load, maybe. There we go. All right, so let me transition over to that screen. So this is tfwire.com. Now you might be thinking, this doesn't look like the podcast. And you would be correct. So the tfwire.com domain name expired sometime last year. I want to say it was July, maybe? July of last year. And at the time, I completely forgot about it. There's like 5 or 6 different domain names that I have or that I maintain, and just completely slipped my mind since I wasn't actually doing the podcast. It wasn't really on my radar. So the expiration came and went, and then that time period of where I could still pick it up without actually losing it came and went as well. And I didn't realize it until I went to tfwire.com, and I'm like, where's the website? And it was going over to like a park domain page, and I was waiting for something to show up on here. And then earlier today, I hit up the website, and lo and behold, here it is. Now, if you go to Google Translate, so Google Translate, which I think is just translate.google.com. And if I paste this in there, it will translate it here for me. All right, so this is some sort of health website, I guess. In Japanese, obviously. If you look up here, Google obviously recognized that it was Japanese and converted it to English. But yeah, effective support of green juice, health maintenance, and constipation resolved. Tireless. I feel like there should be some other words there or something. Do green juice will give what good effect of the body? Health, constipation, analysis centered on fatigue. Yeah, so I don't know what the fuck this website is, but I mean, it's obviously some sort of blog, right? I mean, there's an archive here, recent posts, there's categories. But yeah, this is not the tfwire.com, so obviously the domain name is gone. I fucked up there, so there's no getting it back until, this site expires. Maybe this person will never get rid of it at this point. I have no idea. But all I know is I do not own the domain right now, so if there's any chance of bringing the TF Wire podcast back, it's not going to be hosted on tfwire.com. So with that said, I've been thinking about doing something, like I said, which is why I hopped on here on YouTube to test out the live stream. I'm also using this new software that I haven't used before, or at least I haven't used in anything that I want to actually keep on YouTube. If you hopped on a couple weeks ago, I was like live streaming with this, just trying it out. It's called Wirecast. I'm using it here on my Mac. Obviously, you can see the watermark down there in the corner. So I'm just using the free version, which is perfectly fine for me. I don't really give a shit about the watermark down there. It's still fully featured, and like I said, I can swap between different video inputs and things. I can use my monitors as inputs. I can use application as inputs. I can have multiple audio files or multiple audio sources, and can include them all inside this video using the software, which is fantastic. So I can essentially have these different camera cuts while only having a single camera, and then using my desktop or the 2 different monitors as separate video sources or cameras. So, something I wanted to do, just to sort of get back in the swing of things. If you hop out onto Twitter, let me pull up my Twitter here really quick. Loading. All right, so if we cut back over here to my Twitter, so you'll see, well, obviously that I'm live streaming, but I had said that I had just listened to the TF Wire 2008 clip show, hashtag good times, and I sent that out to Balt Matrix and Nightbeat, and they replied, or at least Spada did, and I guess I could go to my tweets and replies. There we go. All right. So, Why the hell don't I see Spadas? It says tweets and replies. I feel like I should see Spadas reply to me. I guess not. Well, in any case, maybe I'll go to my notifications. There we go. All right. So, in reply to that tweet, Spada said, we should record an app and act like no time has passed at all. Obviously, he's referring to the TF5 podcast. And TFG1 Mike, aka Mike Blanchard, said, we need a 2016 clip show. At which point that I replied that would be the shortest clip show ever, considering we haven't recorded any episodes in 2016. Mike went on to say, perhaps just recycle the 10 years of TF5 into a comedy type play. Which, in all honesty, Mike, that would be fucking hilarious. But we would need Wildcard to come back and actually pick out some of the best bits from the different episodes. So after that, D-Buster of TF5 fame, one of the original TF5 hosts, said, make it happen. So bummed I missed out on the last reunion. And then, oh, look, Ryan did reply. He said, that would be fun. I'll re-review Revenge of the Fallen all these years later. And then he said, ick, no. And then I said, we should have a retrospective on all of the Transformer movies leading up to number 5. And lastly, Spada said we should do that at some point, but for this return episode, I think it would be funnier if it's just a regular episode. And I'm not going to lie there, Spada, it probably would be a hell of a lot more hilarious than just doing the retrospective. Because I would think, well, the retrospective will have some jokes and everything. And what I'm thinking in terms of a retrospective, I would like to go like all out, like have clips on there that we can throw into the show. You know, throw the trailers in there. I would like to go back and get like our initial thoughts on at least the first 2 movies when they were coming out, and kind of work those into the show. But I feel like this is going to be like a very heavily produced show, and that's going to involve some time. So yeah, I would definitely be up for doing some regular episodes, or at least a single regular episode before looking at doing the retrospective. I mean, the 5th movie doesn't come out until sometime next year, so we definitely have time for this retrospective. Yeah, so if you've been following me on Twitter, that's what I'm talking about, is possibly doing a new episode of the TF5 podcast. But shit, I got to figure out where to put the website back up at. Technically, the website's still on my server. Just because I don't have the domain anymore, it's not pointing to it. So I got to figure out how to make it available for everyone. The old TF5 episodes are still on there, available for download. You just cannot get to them at the moment. So I've got to figure out how to make that accessible. So a few things I wanted to talk about here. I guess this one happened back in July at some point. So let me cut back here to my browser window. So let me scroll back up. This was from July 20th. And it says, this is on Collider.com. And this article is, New Transformers The Last Night, set video is classic Michael Bay. Well, I'm not actually watching the set video. But one of the things I wanted to point out here was this shot from the set. Now this is Michael Bay, obviously, here on the left in this picture. On the right here, this is I don't know her name off the top of my head, but she's a new character in the Transformers movies. And then I can't remember the name of this character in the center here, but it's obviously an Autobot, and the Autobot is with this girl here. And this Transformer turns into a Vespa scooter. But the thing I wanted to point out is the overall design on this Transformer here. So, I mean, obviously Bay-esque in the clunkiness factor. A lot of the Bay Transformers are very sleek, but they also have, lots of kibble and just machine parts hanging off them. And what the hell one am I trying to think of here? Man, it's been so long since I've seen these movies. There's one, I can't think of its name, but it's in some of the earlier movies that's similar to this in terms of like the design aesthetic. I mean, if you compare this Transformer to Bumblebee, there's like no comparison. But this is definitely a Bay-esque design. But the thing I wanted to point out is that it's very, very reminiscent of TikTok from Return to Oz, that terrible movie from the 1980s with the flying carpet that has like a moose head that talks. And I don't know. All I remember is this damn robot from the movie. And I just recall that movie being very freaky and always freaking me out. How the original Wizard of Oz had the flying monkeys, and the Return to Oz movie had the roller monkeys, and I just don't like any form of monkey because it just looks fucking weird. And this design on this robot in that movie, just never liked it. It always just freaked me out. Although seeing the mustache on this robot, and then hearing rumors of like a Vector Sigma type character showing up in the new Transformers movie, I'm wondering if we're going to see a mustache similar to this. But yeah, I'm curious to see this Transformer in action here, because I want to see it go from this shitty looking Vespa to this robot here. So I wish I knew its name off the top of my head, but I do not. I've not been following. I mean, in all honesty here, I've not been following anything Transformers related in quite some time. I'll occasionally hit the Transformer news sites, and when I say Transformer news sites, I mainly mean the TFW 2005. But I'll probably only hit that maybe once a week, and then I generally only look at the first couple of stories on the homepage, and not really go into the actual story themselves and read the details and look at the comments the people are making. I used to be really big on the Allspark, which is where I found the other three hosts, the original three hosts from the TF5 podcast. But I haven't been on there in quite some time. I did log in, I think, last week, but I haven't been on since. I didn't post anything. I didn't really look around. I just logged in to make sure my account was still there, and it was. But I didn't really do much on there, so I don't know. I'm still not gonna. I'm never gonna get back into collecting Transformer toys. And once I quit collecting them, once I quit reviewing them, that's kind of when I took my whole foot out of the center here and just completely removed myself from the fandom, which is one of the primary reasons that I quit doing the TF5 podcast back in the day. So when I left and Ryan and Spada took it over, that was one of the main reasons. I just was not interested in the fandom anymore. And I had other things I wanted to do. And ultimately, the reason the podcast ended is because, I just ran out of time to edit the podcast. Spada and Ryan ran out of time to actually do the podcast. And, I mean, by the end, you could just see that the show was kind of faltering. So that's kind of why it ended. And for me, I just wanted to move on and do other things in life, which is what I did. And I just didn't have any time for Transformers anymore. And while I'm still interested in them because they were a huge part of my childhood, and I still have a rather large Transformers toy collection, and I still enjoy these live action movies for some reason, though I have no idea why at this point, but I'm still interested in them. So I am looking to put maybe my toe back into that circle of the world of Transformers, and maybe try out a couple podcasts again and see how it goes. So, all right. So there's one other thing I want to talk about that was Transformers related here. Let me cut back here to the browser. So I guess this was yesterday, or at least MovieWeb.com was reporting this yesterday. Transformers 5 poster shows Optimus Prime's new look. So there's a screenshot of the poster there, but if we scroll down, we can actually see the entire poster, which oddly enough is smaller than the screenshot. And I can't actually click on this to make it any larger, but so what we're looking at here, I wonder if I can zoom into this. No. I guess I can try to zoom on here. Control plus plus. There we go. All right. So there's a couple of interesting things here in this movie poster. First of all, I thought I had read, and maybe it's in this article. Let's go back up here really quick. Yes, this is actually a banner that is debuted in Times Square sometime last month. So if you go to New York, this is actually out there on the street somewhere in Times Square. But there's a couple of interesting things here in this poster itself, or this banner. So first, obviously, is the picture of Optimus Prime. So he definitely has a more unique look than what he had in the first couple of films. Now, I know in the last film, well, I should take that back. I know in every subsequent film from the original, his look has changed slightly. But I think the last film, he had the most drastic change in terms of overall look. But it looks like he's going to have another drastic overhaul here. His helmet, at least from, he just looks a lot, I don't know, I don't want to say muscular because it's a robot, but a lot beefier, a lot buffer. It looks like he's definitely ready to fight. And seeing the way he looks, he actually, the character actually looks younger to me here than like what the Peter Cullen voice conveys. I mean, Peter Cullen obviously is not getting any younger, and it just seems like, especially in the last film, and again, I haven't seen the last film in quite a while, but from what I remember from that film, I distinctly remember the character having an almost deeper or gravelier voice than what he did in the first few films. So obviously, with Peter Cullen aging, his voice is aging, and I'm just wondering how much longer that voice is actually going to fit the movie character. Or I'm also curious as to like how much longer the Optimus Prime character is going to persist throughout these Transformer films. I mean, he's already died once and came back, so I'm curious if they would ever kill him off again, or if they don't kill him off, what's a way that they actually just remove him from the movie timeline or the movie story arcs. I'm not positive on how they might do that yet, but anyways, back to the design. I'm liking what I'm seeing here, and even more so, I like that sword design. I'm not quite sure, what the detail of that is, or what the overall purpose of that detail on the sword is, and maybe there is no explanation for it. I'm just wondering, because if you look at it, if you look up towards the front half, it almost looks like, I want to say it almost looks like an extension or some variation of a combination of the Autobot and Decepticon logos. Now maybe that's just coincidence. Maybe it's just what my eyes are seeing. But that's kind of what I'm sort of seeing those designs intermixed there, and laid out there on the sword blade itself. So I don't know. I'm curious to see how this is going to show up in the movie and what the purpose of this sword is. Obviously, the name of the movie is Transformers: The Last Knight. Prime being the last knight from what we learned from the last film, I believe, if I remember correctly. But here in this poster, it's kind of a little bit deceiving. Some people think that he might be fighting this three-headed dragon thing that you see on there. But that, at least to me, looks like it's in the background, and he looks like he's fighting something more in the foreground. So whatever that three-headed dragon thing is, I'm very curious to learn some more about that because I have absolutely no idea what that thing is. It doesn't look very Transformers-esque, even in the world of Bay. So, I mean, is it like some living, breathing creature? Or is it actually a Transformer? Because I don't know of any Transformer currently that would fit the bill of what this thing looks like. So, if you look above Prime, there's... I don't even know how to describe that. I would say that maybe that's the surface of Cybertron. And then to the right of that, you see this like spiral column type thing floating there. Now, I want to say that that's something that's floating in the air. And I really do not want to see more things come out of the air and attack some sort of city in these fucking Transformer movies. Because there hasn't been a movie that hasn't gone by where we've literally seen that over and over and over. I'm hoping for something new, but I'm not having high hopes here. And then down below, between Prime and the Sword, you obviously see some sort of city there. Not quite sure if it's Chicago or what. I would imagine it's Chicago, since that was a prominent city in the last movie. But I don't know for sure. And then lastly, between the three-headed dragon type thing and Prime, we have this Decepticon flag, which is pretty interesting. Kind of curious as to where that fits in terms of the overall story. Like, are the Decepticons laying claim to Chicago? Are they laying claim to what's left of Cybertron? Might this flag be on some sort of planet that we haven't seen at all? Not entirely sure, but definitely interested in seeing how that might play into the overall story. And then actually, one other thing that I guess I didn't notice before, if you look to the back of Prime there, so above the Transformers logo and below Prime's right forearm there, that almost looks like some sort of, submarine type vehicle in the ocean, looking at some sort of wreckage. I don't know if that's the case or not, but that's almost what it looks like, because there's whatever that thing is that's floating there, that submarine-esque design thing there. It looks like there's some sort of light coming out from the front of it. So it looks like there's some sort of deep sea exploration going on. Which the only thing I know of that's in the ocean, or that was in the ocean, was the remains of Megatron. So is there something else that was left behind? Are they searching this trench for something else? Not entirely sure. I'm also wondering how Megatron is back at all. Because, so he obviously died in the first film, came back in the second, and they ultimately got rid of him again. And then in the last film, the remains of Megatron were turned into a human-made Galvatron. And I don't recall Galvatron dying, unless, again, my memory is faulty here, but I haven't seen that last Transformers movie in quite some time. But I seem to recall him still being alive. So why would they have the character go from Megatron to Galvatron back to Megatron again? And furthermore, if this character is coming back, or keeps coming back, why the fuck can't we see Starscream again? Just bring back that character. And don't bring back the character in the same sense that he was in the original film. I want to see more of the G1 persona in a movie version of Starscream, because that, which I know I've stated many times on the Transformers podcast, is my favorite Transformer, and I would really like to see that character come back. Really like to see that character take on that G1 personality, because I would think it would make for a more interesting dynamic than what we got in the original film. But I doubt we'll even see that. So, all right. Well, that was all I wanted to touch on in terms of the Transformer 5 news. I had some other things I wanted to discuss, but they really weren't of great importance in terms of the Transformers 5 film. The last thing I will say, though, however, I want to say about a month ago now, they were asking for extras here in Michigan. I guess they're filming some scenes here for the movie in Detroit again. It seems like, I want to say, at least for 3 of the movies. Maybe they've done it for all 4 at this point, and now for the 5th one. But I know for at least 3 of the movies, they had shot scenes here in Michigan. Well, they put out a call for extras for this film, and all they did was they created a Gmail address, and they shared it out on the local, I want to say Fox station, and then the Fox station put it out on their Facebook, and then it just got shared all over the fucking place. Anyways, by the time I got the information to actually submit my information to be an extra, their fucking mailbox was all blown up. They exceeded their quota and their limit in terms of the number of emails that they could have, and I just kept getting a rejection after rejection after rejection. So they ultimately never got my email or my information, and their information that they were looking for was like, I want to say your height, your age. There were a few other questions I can't remember off the top of my head, and then they were actually asking for headshots. So I sent all that information, but like I said, still have not gotten a chance to be an extra in any of these movies, which is fucking unfortunate because I would really love to be an extra for a day. Hey, even if you just cut me out of the film, I still think it would be great to say, hey, with as big of a Transformer fan as what I am or as what I was, to actually partake in one of these films would be fantastic. Because right now, my only claim to fame is if you own the original Rhino releases of the G1 cartoon series, I want to say it's season 2, part 1, perhaps part 2. But I know it's season 2. I show up in the BotCon 2002 retrospective. I know there's at least one scene of me in there. There might be 2, but it might be the same scene, just kind of repeated. And you can see me with my bleach blonde hair, walking the dealer floor there in Fort Wayne, Indiana, back in 2002. So right now is my only claim to fame outside of the TF5 podcast, which I know, yay, podcast, claim to fame. So this would be my really only claim to fame here in terms of getting in there, being a quote-unquote movie star, and getting to be an extra for the day. I would think at the very least the extras maybe get free food. I'm always up for some free food, so. Yep, so not going to be an extra in this film unless they open up casting calls for additional extras, but right now, just shit out of luck, so. All right, so that's all I wanted to talk about here in this little live stream here, so I guess till next time, this is Jesse signing off.